On today's episode of Action Figure Fridays, we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel Legends Daredevil Born Again Punisher. Kicking it off with accessories, we get a left open hand with a hinge in the middle of the wrist and a right fist with a hinge on the middle of the wrist. We get two weapon holding hands, both with trigger fingers, both having hinges on the side of the wrists. As far as weapons go, we get an axe made out of this soft rubbery plastic. There is no storage for it, but he can hold it. We also get a military type of knife, also made out of the soft rubber plastic. And we get a small black handgun. The handgun can be stored in the holster on the right side of his hip, and there is storage for the knife on the back part of his belt. Now, as far as articulation goes, I'm actually a little surprised as to what we have going on here. Starting out with the head, we get a double ball peg going from the neck to the head, and then a double ball peg going from the neck to the chest, all together allowing you to look up this far up, which is very good compared to other releases where we get that double ball peg, all together allowing you to look down that far, which I think is pretty decent. And then of course you get a pretty awesome tilt and rotation. Looking at the arms, or specifically the shoulder, I wanted to show this off. There is a cavity in there where the ball peg for the shoulder goes. So it's not necessarily a butterfly joint. This is more of a little cap that you can take off, if I'm able to do it on camera, and put back in there, kind of like we saw with the Iron Man from the Mandarin 2-pack. So it mimics a butterfly joint, but it doesn't necessarily do it correctly. So you're able to go forward a little bit and then back a little bit. There is a hinge at the shoulder allowing you to go all the way up, right? 90-degree angle, I guess is what we'll call it. He does have a bicep swivel, and then double jointed elbows. We already covered the hands. The torso itself is very straightforward. We got a double ball peg at the top, allowing you to go far back a pretty good amount, and then forward, not so much. That's as far as he can crunch forward. It's always interesting to me how we get more range back, but not forward, but whatever, right? Since this is a ball peg, you are able to rotate and you are able to tilt. And then there is a waist swivel. Why you would use the waist swivel, I have no idea, but it's there. That allows you to rotate left and right. However, his belt that is sculpted into his waist does get in the way. Like, all the magazines do get in the way of the rotation, so you might as well not have this joint. We'll get to that later. Last, we have the lower body, and it's very straightforward. We got ball pegs at the hips, no drop down, so that allows you to go back that far and then forward that far, right? You can bring the hips out. You get a nice thigh swivel. You get double jointed knees that go all the way back and then forward. Nothing at the shins, which you guys know how I feel about that. And then, of course, you get your feet that are on a hinge, allowing you to go back, forward, and then tilt. Looking at size comparisons, when it comes to MCU, I don't really have much. I'm very picky, and by very picky, I mean Spider-Man and Daredevil, and that's it. So here he is with the No Way Home Spider-Man, and then here we have him with the Gamerverse Kingpin, which I think is a much better option compared to the Netflix Kingpin. And here we have him with his comic book counterpart. This is the War Journal 2-pack Punisher, I believe. So let me know which one of these you prefer. I actually like my Punisher more geared and ready to go as opposed to running around in a spandex suit, but that's my personal opinion. And last but not least, here we have him with a couple of awesome Valorverse figures, that being Trigger on the left and the Ghost Operator on the right, which definitely match the aesthetic of our MCU Punisher. Final thoughts, love it or hate it, let me tell you something. This is a pretty good figure. I'm actually surprised, and I'm surprised because I abandoned the MCU Marvel Legends side of the line a long time ago, and Marvel Legends as a whole is a line that I am very slowly abandoning as we speak. It's a small handful what I have left, and I'm actually surprised that I've been reviewing a lot more of these figures because I really wasn't planning to. But this figure right here is actually really good in my opinion. From the sculpt to the accessories to the articulation, overall I think it's good or above decent. And to me, that's a surprise for Marvel Legends here in recent times. The accessories, I think, are all adequate. I have a small nitpick with them, but we'll get into that shortly. The articulation that's there, I think, is good, and the sculpting is phenomenal. One of the things that I want to point out is the sculpting on the head sculpt. It's very reminiscent of the actor, John Bernthal, I think that's his last name. I forget at the time of recording this, but it looks really good. In pictures and original promo pictures, I didn't really feel like it matched the actor's likeness, and I felt like the hair had too much volume in it. But once having this in hand, I can definitely see it, and it's a really good sculpt. And overall, again, I really, really like this figure. All right, so as far as articulation nitpicks, I'm not going to spend too much time on them. Number one, the quote-unquote butterfly joints are a weird pick. I understand that they did them to not break up the sculpt of the vest, but they don't really work. So I'll leave it at that. The addition of a waist swivel is pointless in my opinion. I know that a lot of people typically complain about not having this, not having that. It's stupid, honestly. It's pointless. I don't see the need to have it. And number three, probably my biggest nitpick with the articulation is I've seen a lot of figures. I have a lot of figures, and these have to be some of the ugliest joints I have ever seen. I mean, the knee joint itself, for example, just looks weird and ugly. And then when we look at the elbow right here, it looks weird and ugly. I've seen better elbow and knee joints, and Punisher does not have those. I mean, they do look pretty ugly. So biggest nitpick, I guess, but not that big of a deal, but it is. Take it or leave it. And my last nitpick being actually the weapons, and not so much the weapons, just more so how rubbery they all are. It's crazy. Now, I think I understand why they did them super rubbery, and the reason for it is it allowed them to make a knife that is actually somewhat sharp and thin for an action figure, for a mainline action figure that kids can actually get. So I think I'm willing to forgive them. I mean, that axe right there, the blade actually looks thin compared to, for example, G.I. Joe knives or even axes. They look super blunt and plasticky. Again, I think I've made the joke before that the G.I. Joe knives look like butter knives. This actually looks like a combat knife, but it is super flimsy. You can obviously fix that by getting third-party weapons or like getting like a weapon set from Valaverse and gearing him up, but it's pretty, I don't know, I don't like it. I appreciate the fact that they gave us more realistic weapons with the soft rubbery plastic. So I guess it's kind of like a curse and a gift sort of situation. You know, I meant to say gifts and a curse, but I got them flipped around, whatever. And that brings us to the end of another Action Figure Friday. I wish and I hope to find that Daredevil soon. That way I can review it. I'm very excited for it. And let me know what you think about this figure. Is it worth getting, or is it an easy pass for you? Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next week. Peace.